All right, here we go. Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
Blazing Saddles was never a movie that quietly obeyed Hollywood's rules. It wasn't built to be safe, polite, or forgettable. From its first day of filming to its final chaotic scene, it pushed boundaries that few films even dared to approach. It tore apart the Western genre, satirized racism in a way no other studio comedy had.
Say hello. Hello. Listen to me and listen to me good. I want you to get all the brothers together. Round up all the lumber, canvas, paint, and nails you can lay your hands on. And meet me tonight 3 miles due east of Rock Ridge.
And did it with outrageous humor that sometimes went too far for its own good. Here are 20 weird facts about this groundbreaking comedy, told with the full backstory so you can see just how much chaos and genius went into it. Fact number 1. The Waco Kid was a last-minute rescue.
Back in '56, my folks and I were part of this long wagon train moving west.
The first day of filming should have been routine, but instead, it turned into a disaster. The role of the Waco Kid had been given to Gig Young, a respected Oscar-winning actor. He had the perfect rugged look, the resume to back it up, and the studio's complete trust. Yet something was wrong from the moment he stepped into the jail cell set. His hands trembled, his voice cracked unexpectedly. Halfway through his first scene, Young collapsed to the floor. At first, the crew thought he was acting. Maybe he was improvising some kind of comedic fall, but the truth was serious. He was suffering from severe alcohol withdrawal. It became clear that he couldn't continue. Within hours, Young was pulled from the movie entirely. Mel Brooks didn't panic. Instead, he quietly stepped away from the set, picked up the phone, and called Gene Wilder, a friend and collaborator he trusted without question. Wilder didn't ask about the role, the schedule, or even the script. Brooks simply asked, "Can you be here tomorrow?" Wilder said yes. By the next morning, Wilder was on set, exhausted from travel and completely unprepared. But when the cameras rolled, everything clicked. His calm, dry delivery brought the Waco Kid to life in a way no one expected, transforming what could have been a disaster into one of the film's greatest strengths. Fact number 2. Richard Pryor's unseen influence.
Some get a kick from cocaine.
Long before a single scene was shot, Richard Pryor was shaping the tone of Blazing Saddles. Mel Brooks hired him as a writer because he wanted someone unafraid to tackle sensitive subjects head-on. Pryor's contributions gave the script an edge, a raw honesty that kept the comedy from becoming toothless. Brooks actually wanted Pryor to star as Sheriff Bart. Pryor had the charisma, the comedic timing, and the ability to make audiences laugh while forcing them to confront uncomfortable truths. But the studio didn't share Brooks's faith. They worried about Pryor's reputation at the time, the headlines, the controversy, the unpredictable behavior, and shut down the idea before it could happen. Cleven Little ultimately took the role, and he delivered a smooth, confident performance that fit the movie perfectly. But Pryor's voice was still in the DNA of the script. His rhythm, his bite, and his fearless humor remained, even if he never appeared on screen. Fact number 3. The studio tried to kill the movie.
What's happening in the clean world?
Bad news. I got a writ here for Mongo's release signed by Hedley Lamar himself.
When Warner Brothers executives saw the first cut of Blazing Saddles, they didn't laugh. They didn't even smile. The racial satire, the crude jokes, the wild slapstick, none of it felt safe to them. They were horrified, not because it was unfunny, but because it was risky. The initial plan was simple: quietly bury the movie. No major release, no promotion, just lock it in the vault and move on. But Mel Brooks refused to let his work be erased. He pushed for a test screening with a real audience, insisting that the film deserved a chance to prove itself. The night of the screening began awkwardly. For 20 minutes, the audience barely reacted. Then came one scene that completely changed the movie's fate. Fact number 4, the first mainstream fart joke.
How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I'd say you've had enough.
A group of cowboys sat around a campfire eating beans. Then one of them let out a long, loud fart. Then another, and another. It was crude, silly, and something Hollywood had never shown before in a major film. At first, the studio had thought the gag was childish, but during that test screening, the audience erupted with laughter. The sound bounced off the walls. People clapped, cried, and nearly fell out of their seats. That campfire scene didn't just get a laugh, it gave the audience permission to let go. Once they were laughing, they didn't stop. The energy in the room shifted, and suddenly, the executives realized they might have a hit on their hands. Fact number 5. Gene Wilder played it straight.
Oh, you better watch out, big fella. I think Mongo has taken a little fancy to you.
When Wilder agreed to play the Waco Kid, he told Brooks he had one rule. "I'm not playing it for laughs, I'm playing it straight." Brooks agreed instantly. In a movie filled with chaos, Wilder's calm, weary performance became the perfect counterbalance. He didn't exaggerate his delivery, and that restraint made every line funnier. His Waco Kid wasn't just a source of comedy, he was a tragic figure, a man whose glory days were long gone. By playing the role without winking at the audience, Wilder gave the film a layer of depth it might not have had otherwise. Fact number 6. A battle with the censors.
Now, wait a minute. Wait just one doggone minute here. Just give me 24 hours to come up with a brilliant idea to save our town.
The censors were relentless, and they were everywhere. In the 1970s, Hollywood studios still operated under a system where anything that was considered too crude, too offensive, or too politically dangerous could be flagged, rewritten, or outright banned before a film ever saw the light of day. For Blazing Saddles, the script was practically a red flag from page 1. The censorship board went after it line by line. They flagged the racial slurs, the explicit sexual innuendos, the digs at organized religion, and even the absurd throwaway jokes about Nazis. In their eyes, this wasn't just risky comedy, it was professional suicide. One official even gave Mel Brooks a chilling warning. "If you release this version, you'll never work again." Most directors would have folded under that kind of pressure, softening their script to make the studio happy. But Brooks wasn't most directors. To him, trimming the offensive lines wasn't just about losing a few jokes. It was about destroying the heart of the movie. The entire point of Blazing Saddles was to be an unflinching satire, to hit the audience with uncomfortable truths and make them laugh while they squirmed. The way Brooks saw it, you couldn't take a film that was meant to be a sledgehammer to hypocrisy and racism and turn it into a polite tap on the shoulder. The edge was the point, and sanding it down meant the movie would fail before it even started. Fact number 7. Cleveland little-faced real-life racism.
Why, Rat, how many times have I told you to wash up after weekly cross burning? See, it's coming off.
And now, for my next impression, Jesse Owens. Seize them!
While his character in Blazing Saddles used sharp wit to tear apart the absurdity of racism, Cleavon Little was living through a much darker reality behind the scenes. Off camera, the fictional prejudice his character endured was replaced by genuine hatred aimed directly at him. Throughout filming, Little received a steady stream of hate mail. Some letters were laced with racial slurs so vicious they were hard to read. Others carried outright threats, warning him to watch his back, or telling him he was disgracing the image of a black man by taking part in such a film. The saddest part was that many of these messages came from people who had completely misunderstood the movie's purpose. Blazing Saddles was built to ridicule bigotry, to make racists the butt of the joke. Yet some viewers saw only the surface, the language, the stereotypes, and assumed Little himself endorsed them. They couldn't see that he was dismantling those very ideas through humor. On set, however, Little showed nothing but professionalism. He delivered every line with poise, keeping perfect rhythm with Gene Wilder's dry, understated delivery. Together, they created one of the most memorable comedic duos in film history. But away from the cameras, the letters took their toll. Friends would later recall that while Little didn't speak about it often, there were moments when the weight of that ignorance and hatred was visible in his eyes. In a cruel twist, his off-screen experiences echoed the movie's central truth that racism, even when mocked and exposed, could still thrive in the real world. For Little, playing Sheriff Bart wasn't just a role, it became an unspoken act of courage. Fact number 8. The horse punch was real.
Wake up time!
Okay, Mongo. You're free to go.
One of the most shocking gags in the film shows a cowboy punching a horse square in the head. Viewers assumed it had to be camera trickery, but it wasn't. The stunt was carefully choreographed with a trained horse and a stunt performer, but the punch really connected. The animal was unharmed, but the moment became one of the film's most talked about scenes, a signal that in Blazing Saddles, absolutely nothing was off limits. Fact number 9, Hedley Lamar was based on a real person.
I'm through being Mr. Goodbar. The time has come to act and act quickly. All of my plans have backfired.
Harvey Korman's pompous villain, Hedley Lamar, wasn't just a fictional creation. Mel Brooks based him on a real Hollywood executive. He had worked with a man known for taking credit for other people's work and overestimating his own genius. Though Brooks never named the real-life inspiration, insiders suspected they knew exactly who it was. Korman played Lamar as a self-important fool, making the satire even sharper for those in the industry who caught the reference. Fact number 10, Slim Pickens didn't know it was a comedy.
If that nigger wouldn't hit me on the head with a shovel. Now what the hell do you think you're doing with that tin star, boy?
Watch that boy shit, redneck. You talking to the sheriff of Rock Ridge.
Slim Pickens, a veteran of dozens of westerns, approached his role as if it were a serious frontier drama. Brooks never told him it was a spoof. That sincerity made his performance perfect. Surrounded by absurdity, Pickens delivered his lines as though he were in a traditional western, grounding the madness in a kind of reality that made the jokes land even harder. Fact number 11, a toll booth explosion almost went wrong. In one of the movie's most absurd action moments, a fake toll booth is blown sky high by a dynamite charge. On screen, it's pure slapstick, a perfect blend of ridiculous and over the top. But behind the scenes, it was dangerously close to disaster. The stunt was designed so the explosion would go off after the actors had cleared the blast zone, but on the day of filming, the timing malfunctioned. The charge detonated a split second early, sending splinters and debris flying through the air. The cast had just stepped out of frame when it went off any closer and someone could have been injured. Everyone froze in stunned silence, waiting to see if anyone had been hit. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the moment left the crew shaken. Brooks decided to keep the shot in the film, seeing the near miss as part of the chaotic spirit of Blazing Saddles. Afterward, he reportedly banned non-essential crew from being anywhere near explosive effects, though that didn't make the set any less wild. Fact number 12. The final musical number was a studio headache.
Throw out your hands, stick out your tush, hands on your hips, give 'em a push, you'll be surprised you're doing the French.
The ending of Blazing Saddles is unlike anything in traditional filmmaking. Just as the movie reaches its climax, a massive brawl breaks the fourth wall, spilling off the western set and into other productions on the studio lot. Suddenly, the audience is in the middle of a full-blown Hollywood musical, complete with tap dancers and Dom DeLuise as an eccentric director barking orders. The scene wasn't in the original studio-approved plan. Executives didn't understand it, calling it too insane, too disconnected from the main story, and a complete waste of resources. Brooks ignored them. He filmed it anyway, letting DeLuise improvise most of his lines while the dancers barely rehearsed. The number was chaotic, messy, and stitched together in the editing room, but it worked. For a movie that was already breaking every cinematic rule, ending it with a tap dancing meltdown felt oddly perfect. Fact number 13. Why do they leave the movie?
School, Mom, as she reads a telegram that she herself has composed.
After seeing the final cut, one executive sat through the credits in silence. Then he turned to Brooks with a serious question. Why do they leave the movie? He was referring to the ending, where characters literally walk off their own set, wander into another production, and then drive away in a limousine. For Brooks, the answer was obvious. Because it's over. That ending was a deliberate statement. He wanted to shatter not just the story, but the entire illusion of cinema. It was his way of saying that in comedy, nothing, not even the screen itself, is sacred. Fact number 14. Mel Brooks played 3 roles.
Gone berserk. Can't you see that that man is a nit?
Don't worry, sir.
Headley, I've always trusted your judgment before, but...
Mel Brooks wasn't content with just directing and writing Blazing Saddles. He also cast himself in 3 wildly different roles: Governor William J. LePetomane, a Yiddish-speaking Native American chief, and the flamboyant director seen in the chaotic finale. He didn't spend weeks rehearsing these parts. Instead, he'd throw on a costume, scribble some last-minute dialogue, and walk straight onto the set. Each character felt like it had wandered in from a different movie, and that randomness added to the film's unpredictable charm. Brooks said that playing multiple characters allowed him to mock different parts of American culture, from clueless politicians to the self-importance of Hollywood itself. Fact number 15, the Oscars snubbed it.
Copper walk. It's all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big is in. Take off.
Blazing Saddles was a box office sensation and one of the most talked about films of its decade. It received 3 Oscar nominations: Best Supporting Actress for Madeline Kahn, Best Editing, and Best Original Song for Blazing Saddles. But when awards night came, it won nothing. The Academy loved prestige films, and Brooks's unapologetically crude, politically incorrect comedy didn't fit the mold. Critics adored it, audiences quoted it endlessly, but Hollywood insiders weren't ready to publicly celebrate something so outrageous. Brooks later joked, "They didn't give us Oscars, but they gave us better repeat showings." Fact number 16, the failed sitcom spin-off.
And I'm not giving up my ice cream parlor that I built with these 2 hands for nothing or nobody. Howard Johnson.
After the movie's success, the studio tried to cash in with a TV adaptation called Black Bart. It was essentially Blazing Saddles without the swearing, without the edge, and without the guts that made the film a classic. The sitcom version stripped away the biting satire and replaced it with safe, canned laughter comedy. Unsurprisingly, it didn't work. The pilot was buried, and the few episodes that were filmed were never aired. They only existed so the studio could legally maintain the rights to the original movie. Even Brooks refused to acknowledge its existence, calling it the cruelest joke of all. Fact number 17, the studio wanted a different title.
Across the prairie. Fought Indians. Fought drought. Fought locusts. Fought dicks. Remember when Richard Dix came in here and...
Before filming began, executives told Brooks they hated the title Blazing Saddles. To them, it sounded like a 1970s adult movie. They pushed for safer alternatives like Tex or Black Bart Rides Again. Brooks refused. He argued that the absurdity of the title was the point. It was bold, ridiculous, and instantly memorable, exactly the tone he wanted. In the end, he got his way, and Blazing Saddles became one of the most iconic film titles in comedy history. Fact number 18, I couldn't make it today. Brooks has said many times that Blazing Saddles could never be made in the modern political climate. The language, the jokes, the unapologetic way it tackled racism studios today wouldn't touch it. But Brooks isn't bitter about that fact. He insists the film was a product of its time, meant to push boundaries when it was most needed. Its mission was to offend everyone so that no one could hide behind polite silence. That kind of comedy walks a razor's edge, and in his view, it only needed to be walked once. Fact number 19, the crew couldn't stop laughing. Some scenes were shot over and over, not because of mistakes, but because the crew couldn't keep it together. During the campfire scene, during Slim Pickens' monologues, and especially during Brooks's cameos, the laughter on set was uncontrollable. Boom mics dipped into the frame, camera operators shook the shot, even the assistant director had to be removed from the set because his laugh kept ruining takes. Brooks eventually had to yell, "Stop enjoying the movie we're still making!" Fact number 20, John Wayne turned down a cameo.
For happiness, we are in trouble. Yep, we forgot.
Brooks wanted John Wayne, the king of westerns, to appear in the film's chaotic finale, playing himself. Wayne read the script, laughed, and told Brooks he loved it, but said no. His reason was simple. His fans wouldn't forgive him for being in a movie this outrageous. Still, Wayne promised he'd be first in line to see it. True to his word, he attended opening night. He might not have been in the film, but his approval was its own kind of stamp of honor. Bonus fact: the horse got VIP treatment. In a movie full of big personalities, explosions, and unpredictable stunts, the most pampered star on set wasn't a human, it was a horse. One of the lead stunt horses had its own private trailer, complete with padded flooring, cooling fans, and a personal handler. Some actors changed clothes behind makeshift curtains or shared cramped dressing rooms, but this horse had better accommodations than almost anyone else. Gene Wilder even joked that the animal was treated like royalty, and unlike some of the cast, it never forgot its lines.